I'm Jamie Hansen, the farm manager. I want to give a few tips on picking. First off, when you come into a row and you're going to lay down some trays, come out away from the end of the row enough to where it's starting to be smooth. Don't lay your paper trays down on the area where it's real bumpy at the end. Who's ever driving the terracer that day did a bad job of starting off. That was me. It should have been the terrace going all the way up the end, but if it's not, come out here where it's smooth and lay down your paper tray. Okay, I wanted to also show you some ways of picking to help from waste in the vineyard. We probably left 20 tons worth of raisins on the vine unpicked last year, so we need to pick very thoroughly. We also left probably at least 5 tons on the berm, such as all the bunches of berries you can see here that are on the berm. If you do drop stuff on the berm, pick it up, even if it's just little bunches, and put it in the pan, but especially if they're big bunches. Also, if you have ones that are already raisined, you can take and pick them up and put in as well. They're not going to hurt anything. If you do find bunches that have rot in them, and they'll have a heavy vinegar smell and little flies buzzing all around them, cut off the bad part and then put the rest of the good in the pan. And when you pick, try and have your pan underneath where you're picking. Okay. You want to pick from post to post, from stake to stake rather than from vine to vine, because you can get confused to when one vine stops and then the other one does. But you know right where the stake is. So you pick from the one stake to the other in your little cubicle here. And again, as you pick, slide your bucket over, or your pan, so that where you're picking, you have your pan right under where you pick. So if individual berries fall, they'll fall into the pan. It's good too when you're picking to slice away from your hands rather than toward your hands. A lot of people get real bad cuts because they're cutting like this. Also, if you'll notice, on the top of every bunch as it hangs there on the stem, there's a little joint or node. If you cut on that, the thing will almost pop or snap. But if you cut above that or below that joint, you'll have to really hack at it to get it off of there. As you work along, if leaves or other debris fall in the pan, pick them out and throw them off. Leaves on top of the grapes will make it harder and longer for drying because it shades it from the sun. And as you pick, set the bunches of grapes into the pan rather than letting them drop. If you let them drop, you smash and damage the berries and break them open. If you break the berries open, then juice flows out and then rot will start there. Pick very thoroughly, cover the whole vine, especially on the back side of the vine. A lot of what is usually left here on the vines unpicked is on the back side, where you can't maybe see it as well. When you get a pan that's slightly heaping, maybe even another bunch or two more than this, pull the pan down next to where the terrace is. Lay out your paper tray. Put a bunch in the top corner so that the wind doesn't blow the tray away if the wind's blowing. And then you want to put the bunches across, make a little U across the bottom to make a dam. Put 3 or 4 bunches across the bottom, make a dam to catch the individual berries from rolling off the tray. dump it on and then spread them out. No more than about one bunch thick. Leave a border around the edge of the tray, and if you need to put more on or take some off, then go ahead and add some more on. And then that's about a properly filled tray. If you're going to err on the side of either being too heavy or too light, it's better to be a little bit on the light side. So there's a few maybe open spaces in there. But again, you want to leave a little bit of a border around the edge of the paper to help facilitate the turning and the rolling. As well as, if you get that thing too full, when you try and roll it up, you'll split the paper tray, and then you'll have raisins all over the place. So it's better to have a little bit too light of a tray than too heavy. Okay, when you're done with the initial picking, there's a few other things that need to be done before the row is complete. As you look down here, you can see all these trays. Somebody needs to go down and count them, and then put that total on the end post on the card where your ward name is. Also, somebody needs to come back through and glean the vines. Pick the bunches that are left, especially on the back sides of the vines. There'll be ones left, or the bunches that are left underneath the vine on the ground. Pick those up and put them down on trays. Also, all the personal items, pans, knives, caps, whatever else, need to be gathered up and brought to the end of the row. The paper trays, the loose paper trays, unused ones, all need to be picked up and carried to the end of the row. Never leave loose paper trays out in the vineyard or at the end of the rows even. Put a weight on top of them to keep them from the wind blowing them away. Every year we lose about $500 worth of trays, which in and of itself isn't as big a loss as what it causes a problem for our neighbor in his almond harvest. We've had as many as 10,000 paper trays blowing in his trees, and that tends to mess up his sweepers for picking up his almonds. So please don't leave loose paper trays out in the rows. And like I say, make sure and glean real well, pick up any of the loose items. Don't leave any junk, trash, water bottles, anything out in the row. Make sure somebody comes down to police the row when you're done, as well as count all the trays. Thank you.